hypoallergenic. With absolutely no regulation of this term, there is no way to ascertain its safety. Sustainability is a term that is used too often and taken too lightly to have any real meaning on a label without a certification, such as by the Forest Stewardship Council. Carbon neutral does not mean that the production of the product did not contain carbon, but that the company offset the carbon it did produce by investing in renewable energy. This is a good step, but still carbon neutral bottled water still has the environmental and health concerns of regular and bottled water. Carbon offset programs are not regulated and are not all created equally. With all the choices and misinformation out there, how do we even begin to navigate between green versus non-green choices? Who has time to do all of this research? Who has the money to purchase these greener solutions that cost more, right? Some solutions definitely do not cost more, though. Vinegar, for instance, can be mixed with water to make window cleaner and mixed with olive oil to make furniture polish, and can be used as weed killer instead of carcinogenic pesticides. There are actually many options for consumer products, and a little care and interest by each of us can do a lot. But oh, does that sound inconvenient? We are a society of individuals that place a very high value on convenience and comfort. One comfort that may be a good example, however tasteless as it may appear, soft, fluffy toilet paper, such as Northern Quilted, Cottonelle, and squeezably soft Charmin. In the paper-making process, wood is ground, pressed, dried, and chlorine bleached. Over 1,000 different organochlorines, including the carcinogen dioxin and mercury, are present. Dioxin is one of the nastiest substances in existence, found as a byproduct in the manufacture of organic chemicals and plastics that contain chlorine. On the other hand, green forest and seventh generations tissue is 100% recycled and chlorine-free. These products and others reduce landfill accumulation and don't destroy more trees. They cost slightly more usually, are not quite as white, and may not be quite as comfortable, if you ask me. But clearly, it is one of the inconvenient and uncomfortable decisions that my wife makes for me. And we are all faced with making. I could go on for quite some time about products, benefits, detriments, and the like, but that really isn't the overall point that I'm trying to make here this morning. My point has more to do with convenience, or rather, the inconvenience of making greener choices. In talking with a number of regular folks, it really came to me that so many people behave in a way that is most convenient and best for them in the moment. I can use myself as a good example. Even after learning that 1 million plastic cups are consumed on airplanes every 4 hours, I still consumed 3 plastic cupped beverages on the airplane during a recent trip for work. Even knowing that 120 million cups are consumed on an average month on airplanes, most all of which are not recycled, I still used the beverage cups, and my behavior was not altered. Even knowing that 40 million paper cups are used each day for hot beverages, most of which are not recycled, I had 2 cups. 2.5 million plastic bottles are thrown away every hour in this country. One of them that day was mine. Roughly 60 million per day for a whopping 22 billion plastic bottles every year. On that day alone, I did what was most convenient and comfortable for me, and I made sure that my needs were met and that my need for comfort was met. Shame on me, right? Some of the numbers are so big that it is hard to imagine that little old me could possibly have an effect on our vast planet. The problem only comes that when we all think this way, the problem, then it becomes much more of a problem. It is possible that behaviors that many of us engage in unconsciously or consciously, we may be in denial about. When 300 million people perform these behaviors, they can have unintended and disastrous consequences. Our whole economy is based on the notion that we will consume more of everything. At the same time, if I am to be truly environmentally conscious from what I have read, I am supposed to consume less. There's a paradox of messages there that I don't think makes much sense. But I do understand both sides of the argument. If my degree in economics in 1984 taught me anything, I did learn that I will never understand the intricacies of the economy. We need to consume more. We need to conserve more. How exactly does that work? I haven't mentioned factory farming, global warming, coal mining, oil drilling, drive less, bike more, nor a host of other topics that have environmental implications. While they may be relevant, there are a lot of opinions and tons of information on these subjects by people a lot smarter than I am. My comments this morning have more to do with personal responsibility for actions that we may actually have a clear choice in our everyday lives. To do or to not do. Things that we consider doing the right thing versus things that we have trained ourselves to do. Or at least be willing to take an honest and open-minded look at some of the simple decisions that we make on a daily basis. Perhaps there is one simple, maybe convenient, maybe not so convenient, change that we could make in our everyday lives that would be good. I, for instance, buy coffee in the morning in a paper cup because I don't like carrying around a travel mug. This is something that I will consider. I let the water run until it is hot so that I can shave with warm water. Gosh, there are so many small things that add up. As each of us tries to build our new and improved view about the interconnectedness of all things, it is most important that we look at our own personal choices. What might the environmental footprint be 1,000 miles away for decisions that we make today? What are the social and environmental consequences of individual decisions that are made by each of us? For me, sometimes the enormity of the numbers are so unfathomable that it is too big to digest, and I simply lose perspective. The difference that I could make as an individual is so small that it isn't even worth it for me to care. Is it? So how do we change? How can we as individuals prompt ourselves to take responsibility for the incredibly small impact that each of us has every day? By all the small decisions that we make every day, our behavior, my behavior. None of this is to say that we are bad or that I am bad. They are simple facts for each of us about who we are. And if we take a minute each day to examine those facts, we can put them into perspective. If there are things that we see that we don't like, we owe it to our own integrity to summon the truth from deep within each of us and face what we are willing and not willing to do about the effect on billions of people that we as individuals and as society make. I don't mean to be abstract with this line of discussion, but more very real about the reality for each of us. Here, today, in this room, right now. May it be so. Amen.